20 donne, giusto per dare qualche dato, rappresentano il 22% del totale.
Fare impresa è funzionale alla tua vocazione, alla tua missione. Crei un'impresa o usi la tua impresa per risolvere il problema che tu hai a cuore.
Credo che arrivi un momento in cui ti scatta quella scintilla, no? Quel desiderio di mettere in gioco tutto te stesso e scoprire anche delle cose che magari non pensavi di saper fare.
Sono stata aiutata a cambiare la visuale da cosa volessi fare a chi volessi essere come persona, come manager, quindi anche come volessi interpretare il ruolo, lo stile di leadership volessi adottare.
E soprattutto alle prossime generazioni, la generazione Z e la generazione Alpha, che mettono al loro centro questa storia di impatto e anche purpose.
Non è che domani dobbiamo svegliarci tutti imprenditori, tutti freelance, però domani dobbiamo svegliarci tutti felici. Più siamo felici, più siamo produttivi. Più siamo produttivi, meglio lavoriamo, più siamo apprezzati e quindi più riusciremo a essere felici.
Hi everyone, hello, good afternoon. I'm very glad and happy to welcome you today to our second Women X Talk powered by our main sponsor, Eni. Actually, the first one in English, the next one will be in English too, by the way. So I'm extremely excited to host this event today. What are we gonna talk about soon? So will be an informal conversation, and actually I know that our speakers today are gonna share a lot of the experience about intergenerational comparison. We know that Gen Z and the new ways of working and living, let's say, the workplace are changing quite a lot, and we feel that is good. Now is a good time to kind of have a conversation about this, share experiences, best practice, and obviously kind of leading the way in this world-changing trend that we're seeing. We are also going to touch point on the Agile methodology, because we feel that helps within the organizations, especially those that are very big, but even small organizations, if they apply an Agile methodology within the teams and within the way they lead the projects, we know that has quite a good, let's say, results on the workplace itself, but the business, especially the business, which is always very important for everyone. So with who am I going to do this today? As usual, we will have the first, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes with two hosts, two speakers who I'm going to ask now to join on stage, who are Chiara Moraski, Chapter Process Optimization of Eni Plenitude, and Alicia Gaczonska, Senior Service Designer of Eni. Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon and welcome to our stage today.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
So first of all, just a quick introduction of yourself, who you are, and your career path so far.
Yes, so I'm Chiara Moraski from Eni Plenitude. I'm actually a business economist in my origin. Then I worked a few years in a consultancy company. Then I moved to the telco sector. I've been working in Vodafone for 11 years, mainly in international projects. Then later on in my career, I moved to Italy, where I worked in the operational department of Vodafone. And then I joined Eni, what was Eni Gas and Power when I joined 10 years ago. Then became Eni Gas e Luce in our transformation path, and now it's Eni Plenitude. So I'm in charge of the business analyst. The business analysts are those resources that contribute in the Agile teams to develop the processes. We talk about processes such as billing, sales, customer care, and so on and so forth.
I'm Alicia Gaczkowska. I'm a service designer in Anyplenitude. I'm originally Polish, but I moved to Italy 3 years ago. I also started my career in a consulting agency working for different various industries. And as I told, I joined Plenitude 3 years ago, and I'm a part of service design chapter right now. A team of in-house service designers, in-house designers, a team that supports business and operational units in developing business strategies and omni-channel customer experience.
Thank you, Alicia. So just for those who don't know, who are listening to us today, what is Plenitude and how, let's say, Plenitude, in your opinion, is a innovative organization to take as an example?
Yeah, I can explain you. Plenitude is part of the Eni Group. It's a satellite company, and we are mainly an energy company. Our business is developed in 3 pillars. That is the renewable production, the energy services that we provide to our customer base. So we're talking about 10 million customer base, based mainly in Europe. We have our activities in Italy, in Spain, in France, in Greece, and in Slovenia and Portugal. And we also develop the charging points for electrical vehicles. So you see that the renewable world is our core business, let's say. In fact, we became a benefit company. Not everybody knows what a benefit company is. Let's just say that in our statute, we changed the statute to include the environment and the impact we have on communities in our main goal. So we're not just talking about shareholders, but all the environment is part of our culture. That's why we felt that the benefit name was the best to represent this fact of Plenitude. Our main scope is the scope 3. Scope 3 means reaching the zero emission for our customer base. So everybody talks about scope 1 and scope 2. That is the net zero emission for the companies. When we talk about scope 3, we include our final customer. So we're talking about the 10 million customers that we have. This goal, Plenitude foresees to reach in 2040. So all the activities we are doing in the core business that I was talking to you before are to reach this goal by 2040. And we need to do it through our customers, because scope 3 include their emissions. So the only way we can do it is including our customer, putting them in the center. We often talk about customer centricity. In this case, the customer must be a real alliance to us. It's an alliance that we have to create with the customer, because they are fully involved to reach this goal with us.
And we started this journey a few years ago. As you can imagine, becoming a benefit company is a challenging goal if you consider it together with zero net emission goal that Chiara just described. It requires a lot of effort. It's a huge effort, not only financial, but also an effort of, let's say, changing the way we all treat our business. A few years ago, Plenitude started its business transformation. This business transformation introduced agile methodology in our company, during which many of our colleagues changed their roles and had to develop new skills. But I think that the main really innovation in Anyplenitude is related to this mindset change. As Chiara said, we put customers at the center of our processes, products, and services. And we do it to meet our goals and satisfy at the same time our clients, our customers' needs, which are families, condominiums, and also industry. We cannot hear you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this leads a little bit to the next question, because obviously, as we said, today we're going to talk about agile methods, agile methodology, but also new ways of, dealing with the new generation and, the new trends that we have seen happening into the workplace. So how is your approach to the agile methodology and how you deal with it? So how is that key into this innovation path that you are taking, also internally?
Yeah, first of all, we soon understood that if we really wanted to put the customer at the center, we could not do it if we didn't start from our people. So in our organization, we decided to put the people in the center, also because they represent all the customer base. In our customer base, we have the younger couple that just got married since the granny retired, and also in any plenitude, we are well represented with the different generations. So we wanted to put the customer in the center through our people. And we find out that the agile methodology and moreover the agile organization was something that was very close to this idea. We were coming from an old organizational chart, very typical in Italy, but not just in Italy, where you have the vertical roles and layers of managers, vice presidents, and so on and so forth. And we decided to change it completely. So the agile organization that we gave to each other see a lot of teams working on single objectives, and within the team, all the departments are represented at the same level without any hierarchical role between one and the other. Of course, the competence is fundamental. It's not that in the team we put different departments and then everybody can say what they want. Of course, everybody is there bringing its competence, its seniority to within the group and giving the contribution. What is happening here? That is very easy to change a team and to move a person with certain competencies from one objective to the other. While if you think in the old organizational chart, you have departments. If you wanted to move a resource from one department to the other, then you had to organize. It was quite slow, let's say, usually. In an agile organization, we allocate resources where we need it. So there is, at the beginning, the seniority and the competencies of the person, and then there is the need. So we take the person and we put it where it's more needed, and we can easily change between one team to the other. This gave a great advantage. We became very fast in doing this. And we found out that it also helped a lot in sharing expertise, because you have all the people together in the same team. They listen to each other. They can even suggest to each other improvements. And the knowledge transfer is quite fast. A knowledge transfer that maybe in the past could not happen because the person that had that knowledge was in another department or in a different hierarchical level. Now they are all together, and this is very fast. And this helped us also with the generation, with the junior resources and senior resources, because finding themselves in the same project on the same table helped the mentoring, the coaching, and also the knowledge transfer on the single competence. So it's
let's say there is a more horizontal kind of chart. There's not anymore that hierarchy, that complicated matrix. Is a more simple one, because obviously I would say it's much easier when the company is kind of small, but when it comes to obviously big companies with, like yourself, with a lot of employees, it's very important to create kind of more horizontal kind of matrix to avoid what you said before.
Yes, especially in big organizations. the young person risk to find themselves in a role and stay there for long. So it gets very expert in that role, but never has the chance to see something else. With Agile, you have a super fast learning, and of course you are there with a role that is specific of the department you're coming from. So if you are an expert in sales, you will be there representing sales, operation. But since you are close to your colleague that talks about something else, of course, especially young people that needs to learn a lot in a new organization, they get the most of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I also think people is more motivated when they feel they are part of a project, even though obviously, as you said, they're not gonna do something completely different. They're still gonna be in that department, but maybe be involved in projects where they can work with maybe other teams. I think it expands also the view, and I think is also a good thing from a personal level.
Me, for example, I work in a service design chapter. A chapter is a typical organization structure of Agile. And I have an opportunity to see how various teams, transversely working with them, how various teams adopt Agile methodology in our company. At the beginning, my chapter played the role of a facilitator when introducing this new methodology. We were helping teams to adapt and to feel comfortable. People were moved from one department to this new reality when we started to move to work all together in a collaborative way. So we tried to feel them good in this new situation. Now in Plenitude, I think that the change is visible on all the different levels, from very operational to strategic. And no matter whether you joined the company many years ago and or there are people that joined the company recently. The Agile and probably also design thinking method, which we introduced at the beginning, was our path. It was like we were introducing Agile and design thinking at the same time. They both helped us to abandon boundaries that were present before and eliminate some biases that we had from previous times. It gave people the feeling that the new way of expressing themselves, and also to flourish their talents. Like Chiara said, like if you join the company, you don't know which is your path. But if you are in a situation that you can really change what you do and find your way, you can really flourish yourself independently from your age or seniority in the company. And also the organizational structures, I think they are less visible right now in any Plenitude. The part of our company is organized in interfunctional teams right now, teams that are concentrated on delivering value. They design, test, and develop end-to-end customer experiences, and are fully responsible for it. So what you designed, then later on, the same team, the same people, they have to see if the solution they designed is really meeting customer goals, customer needs. But this cultural change in Plenitude was triggered for sure by Agile methodology, but the aim of our company right now is, as Chiara said, become fast and adaptive. This is more important than applying Agile methodology on just by the book, let's say. We need to do it to be ready to face very dynamic market scenarios that we have right now, and at the same time satisfy and being sensible on what our clients need. In my opinion, also this this challenging goal cannot be achieved, but just applying a new methodology, as I said. It's the change of approach from traditional to more entrepreneurship, probably, and to give the sensation of having the space of trying new things, develop new projects, having new ideas, generate new ideas. We gain this sensation of inclusion by a continuous emphasis on customer experience, customer centricity, and co-creation. We work together. These teams that deliver value, they work together. They are sitting in the same room right now in pandemic. It's more difficult, but we are organized in a room, virtual room, and we work in a collaborative way, trying to co-create solutions all together. We also have in Any Plenitude a program of listening to our customers, and this program spreads the voice of customer in our company, making this distance between an employee and the customer very, very close. We make it closer. My chapter, service design chapter, we organize co-creative workshops. We bring people together, and we enable this collaboration and co-creation to develop solutions. To sum up a bit, I think that in Plenitude right now, in Any Plenitude right now, everyone can generate ideas, and this is that makes us different. Ideas that bring value and that move Plenitude towards its goals.
Yeah, I think the concept of co-creation, I think, is really great because, as you said, people feel more empowered really when they feel they are part of a project. They can bring ideas. They are not afraid of, proposing something that is coming from their creativity or their knowledge. I think is good to. For me, a very important thing in innovation into the workplace is bringing the talents of people, to the very high level. I think everyone has a talent. I don't know what you think about that, but I'm very much into everyone has a talent. It's not just something, just the genius person has. I think, most of us have talents, but you need to bring those to the table, and the organization you're working in need to help you to take that talent and bring it to the table and to projects where you can flourish. That's probably the key of the innovation in the workplace, which, going back to the intergenerational topic, is very important, especially for the new generations, to feel that they can join a company where they feel this is happening every single day.
Yeah,
Chiara, you were adding
the responsibility of the company to recognize the talent. It never happens that there is a person that comes to you and say, look, this is my talent. Well, we also do this. We do self-assessments, but sometimes we recognize in people talents they are not even aware they have. I make you an example. There is a person working with me. She was working in the billing department. She was hired for that role. Talking to her, it came out that she's a psychologist in reality. So usually billing is something very mathematical that requires mathematical skill. And she was a psychologist. And I asked her to tell me something about her previous life, what she was doing before Plenitude. And she said that she was a teacher, and she was really excited about this teaching role. So I said, oh, there's something wrong here. How come that you work in billing if you are a humanist? It's clearly a humanist. And then we were lucky because we were just starting a new big project with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is really tricky. It's difficult to find the right resource because it has a lot of mathematical and statistical. But on the other side, if you don't want your artificial intelligence to look like a robot. You must put some communication skills and some humanistic skills. So I proposed her to move to that team instead of keeping doing billing. Well, she's the most brilliant artificial intelligence person in the world. She's so happy. She's so motivated by what she do, because we found out her talent. Maybe she knew it, but she had just forgotten. In staying in a role she wasn't planning to do with her role, so she was performing great, also in billing. But of course, once we discovered real talent, the energy that now she's putting in what she does is unbelievable, and it's contagious, because if you see a colleague of yours that is so enthusiastic to work on something, it's easy to be involved in this enthusiasm and all the energy that you produce. If it's well focused on the final objective of the company, it's really a big thing.
Yeah, and I think it's also amazing for the manager too. This is also something I always say. It's also for the manager a great satisfaction when you see a person that's working with you and is happy and feels empowered, feels, you are giving value to the person and to the professional as well, because the human bit is also very important. So I think it's both ways, the employee and the team member is happy, but you are also happy because you feel someone is working with happiness every day, because we don't have to forget that we spend 8 hours per day at work, sometimes even more. So it has to be funny and enjoyable and satisfying. This is probably the right
and you
word.
lower turnover, especially of young resources. So we invest so much in young resources that then when they quit, it's a bit of a failure, for an organization, maybe just because you didn't recognize the right talent for that person, and so that the person went away to look for it. You see people that will remain in the company because they love their job. It's really nice to see when this happens. Yeah.
When I joined,
yeah, sorry.
Okay. No, when I joined Plenitude, for example, when I joined Plenitude, this business and cultural transformation was about to happen, and I remember there were 2, maybe 3 teams, first team working in Agile, that had really the power that you mentioned, Eleonora, the power to redesign some of our main processes. And I use the term power because no matter what the team experience or the team background was, they had the freedom really to just develop solutions without asking for approval, higher approval. And you could see really the enthusiasm of this my colleagues at that time. It was really nice coming to work and working together, all together in the same room with this enthusiasm that were like, it was incredible. It was really incredible.
Yeah, so that's, I think, is a great start of this talk today. So I think it's the time to get to our digital stage, our next 2 speakers, Carlotta Zorzi, Senior Partnership Manager di Shopify, and Sabrina Colantoni, Group Brand Director of Rehal. And the 2 amazing women. Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Very well, and I would like to congratulate with Chiara and Alicia because I was amazed by their story in Plenitude, so congratulations. Quite impressive.
Thank you.
Great. So I'll start with Carlotta. Based on your experience, did you see differences between the new and the old generation? Because we have to kind of speak about what the mind of the new generations are thinking is a very fascinating. I mean, for me, it's very fascinating because I always say I'm not really young, but I work with a lot of young people. I'm joking, but I think, what's your experience on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today, by the way. It's great being part of this panel. Yeah, when it comes to new generations and, the approach to business and working together, there's so much need for, as we talked about, agility, right? Adapting to things and really responding to situations without the fear of failing. And I think there's an element of psychological safety that really comes into place when it comes to allowing people to trying things and encouraging that approach to projects, right? There's no longer one linear way of doing things. There's many ways that can lead to the same outcome. And it's important for any manager to really empower people to try these different ways of approaching things and making them feel safe, making them feel psychologically safe to fail, and have a really good approach to feedback, because feedback, Shopify is a big thing. Feedback is king, essentially. And, encouraging testing and experiments is absolutely necessary instead of just having that linear one way of approaching any project.
Sabrina, you wanted to add something to that?
Yeah, I mean, I could not be more agree. And honestly, I really see in that kind of segment where this speed and this dynamics is already needed, as the companies we are having here on the table, you really feel these needs. And I think, the fear to overcome, people, it's not that people don't want to do that, it's that they just used to work in a certain way, and they are struggling to take over also the responsibility of their action. So, and we need to help them. I mean, it's not about just hiring new people, but it's really like bringing certain persons working a certain way for many years in working in a different way, which we need, because we need to face the markets in completely different, especially in the future. And that's a big challenge, because you need to create an environment, and especially you need to accompany in the process, because this is not happening from one day to another, basically.
Yeah, I totally agree on the timings. I mean, we are talking about completely different ways of, dealing with the workflow internally, how the team work, and I agree that not every company can do that shift from one day to another. Probably in the smaller companies it's easier, but still, it's kind of a mindset. So my next question is actually about mindsets, how the entrepreneurial mindset helps in this process. Because when we talk about responsibility, we talk about co-creation, we talk about creativity, bringing ideas to the table. This is very similar to what an entrepreneur does for its company. So how this skill comes into place into a workplace?
Yeah, skills are...
Do you want to go ahead? Go ahead.
No, please. It's okay.
Okay. So from my perspective,
for everyone,
something that really comes into the picture, again, going back to psychological safety, the manager is no longer a boss with, an authoritative approach to things. The manager really becomes a coach for the team, and, encouraging this approach to a more agile and a more, quick way of testing. It means that people feel safer. They feel, that they're able to kind of almost like use this manager as a mentor, right? The manager is there to listen and to assess how each single individual can, be enabled and empowered to deliver on their role. And I think it connects so much the entrepreneurial side of things, because you're there to listen to what individuals have to say and then facilitate that for it to happen.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing. You need to create the environment, because even if you're hiring persons with entrepreneurial skills, but you are sitting in an environment that's not allowing a certain type of attitude, or the rest of the team is not following, then you risk to create frictions. So to me, it's from one side, you need to bring in people with a more open mindset, but you also need to work in an environment that is facilitating and allowing these people to really exploit their potential. And on the other side, to me, beside, we always have, especially in the traditional companies, I mean, I'm in a different environment, in an industrial environment where a shift, it takes longer. And sometimes you say, okay, I will hire new people, so I bring them in, and then automatically the system will change. But the system is not changing automatically. So you need to decide that this is very much needed, and you need to facilitate in a way that also the existing people are able to step by step taking over more responsibility and develop an entrepreneurial mindset or understand what's their potential. And that's, I think, the big job to be done. So to really accompany all your people, because everybody has a different level of skills, I mean, different package of skills that we can exploit, but how we are understanding that. So beside coaching is also like creating an environment and helping to move the system in this direction. This is very important, because sometimes we forget that we have maybe persons that they are doing a certain job since 20 years, but they have a huge skills that we can exploit, and we cannot just simply give this away, and we need to help this, because not easy.
It's not easy, and also I think it's a really new thing, because if we look back to maybe 10 years ago, talking about entrepreneurial skills or agile into, let's say, the normal workplace, the big organizations, wasn't something you would talk about every day. It was something was more toward, let's say, the startup world, or the more entrepreneurial. But now I feel they're really getting closer to each other, and I believe this is a good thing. I think at the end of the day, as we said before, when you have creativity and projects where a lot of people contribute, there is also an element of team culture. I feel when it's like that, people are even more willing to work with a diverse team, going back also to the diverse kind of topic, because they get more excited also when people with different approach, different ideas, different cultures bring to the table, the different ways of looking at things. What do you think about that?
I think it's personally, I think it's absolutely necessary to learn how to actually cross-work with different teams. I don't think it's an option anymore. Your team has to be able to communicate with other ones that maybe have potentially like the same goals at the very end. For example, working in partnerships, you're going to have to work with sales, but you don't have the same external stakeholders, but you're all working towards the same goals, and creating processes that really enable that cooperation is essential. You really start to see results when you start exploring new ways of working, new ways of testing. If something doesn't work, you try and understand why did it not work, right? And what did you discover on the way? What did you discover something that you didn't plan for? What is it, maybe something you didn't account for that is having an impact on the success that the experiment is having. So cross collaboration is necessary. And I went to a panel recently with this amazing businessman, super young, and he was talking about how instead of measuring success on the output of the usual type of things, like how many leads did you get, how many, those type of things, it's more like how many experiments did you run this week, how many experiments did you run in the past month, and what did you learn from those experiments? Because that will actually lead to new processes that will allow new things to work better together, and everything is so connected.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Carlotta. I think that it requires a mindset change. Like a failure is not anymore a failure. It's not an unsuccess. No. It's not a success. It's a matter of what I learned. What did I learn really from this experiment, from other try? This connects a lot to this entrepreneurship mindset.
Totally.
We have to all work together, but we have to keep on trying without fear of failing.
Absolutely. There's this other thing that this entrepreneur mentioned, and it was failure is knowledge, knowledge is power, therefore failure is power, right?
Yeah, the no blame culture is fundamental.
Yeah.
And I think it must be adopted by the top management first to enable the team to express all the potential, because you can have this entrepreneurship within the team, but then if you have a manager above that wants to keep control on what's going on, then the team can just fail.
Yeah.
You know? So the first people that have to join this new mindset is management of the company. We were talking about that agile methodology before. Okay, it's a methodology that's quite close to this kind of culture, but agile cannot work if the company doesn't want to change. It will be a big failure. You know, the agile can work just if there is a stronger commitment from the top to the rest of the company with this strong will to change. Then also that methodology will work. It has pros and cons. It's not the Bible. You know, it's just your will to make it work, so that it will make it work. In any plenitude, we set our objectives as inspirational. So something that might not be even reachable, but we like to set it very high. In a traditional company, you were setting objectives in a safe place, maybe a little bit below the threshold that you knew you could reach, just to be sure that you could reach it. Now we are doing the opposite. We are setting our goals as inspirational, something that is quite unreachable because it's there that we want to go, or failing, retrying, whatsoever. But that's where we want to go, and it's quite clear.
I would like to say something about that, because that's exactly right. So the willingness to move to a certain methodology needs to come from a business model. So the company needs to have a strong business model, a strong vision, and then needs to bring this into the company, into the organization, using then a methodology like Agile or everything else. But this needs to be pushed from the top and in general from a business model. And then you align the organization in this way, because otherwise you have experiments of agile methodology or design thinking methodology in single departments that are experiments but not connected to a clear scope. And then people are doing an exercise that basically is not changing anything in the overall perception, because and there I really see, based on certain companies like yours, for example, that they are very close to the mass market, they are very close to the changes. They are much earlier in the process because you have a clear business need that is bringing you there. So you need to make this happen. And then this is pushing the organization to go this way. Other companies are still not there. So, but it will come, because that's the future, and that's the way we will have to work anyway in the future. But we also need to make sure to bring our people there, you know, because sometimes they're struggling to say, oh my God, now I need to do something and I need to decide, and I don't want to decide, you know. So it's really a process that needs to come from a clear strategic plan of the organization.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe even training sometimes can help, because I feel some managers maybe can't embrace always these kind of new ways just because they're not trained enough. Because, you know, when things change, we have to change the way we do our jobs every day. And this is also an eye opener. I always say, for example, for my job as a marketeer has changed completely since I started. When I used to do my product launches when I was at Microsoft in 2010, marketing didn't even have digital in there. We were still doing traditional things. But today, my job is completely changed. Without digital, without social, without all the new tools, I wouldn't be able to do my job every single day. I had to completely retrain myself and learn along the way and keep learning the new ways of embrace my job. It's not because I can't do my job anymore. It's just that the world is changing, and you have to learn different ways to keep doing your job in an environment that is innovative. I think that's probably the key. So sometimes even training can help. No one, can teach them. Some people are good at also learning themselves, but some people maybe need training. So another advice for companies will also be to prepare maybe a set of trainings for a short or long period of time. So the manager that is maybe higher in the hierarchy level can join those trainings. So on the failure, so let's go back a little bit on the failure. What happened when we said that we like entrepreneurial individuals, that we are valuing their, let's say, approach as an entrepreneurial level, their job. What happens when you do an interview? They come and say to you that they had a failure in the startup, or something went wrong in their entrepreneurial journey, but at the same time they got these skills that we are saying we need into the companies. How do you approach that?
Well, I love hearing failure stories, simply because, you can really drill down onto what that person learned, and you can really fully understand how resilience really is part of them. Resilience is so necessary nowadays because change is truly the only constant for most organizations. So the ability of thriving in ambiguity probably, will put a lot of failure in front of many people, but it's how you tackle that failure that really will demonstrate how resilient one person is. And because failure is difficult, because change is difficult, I think this really leads to really bringing back kindness and humanity into business. Again, going back to the role of managers, having that humanity approach, that human approach to managing people will really enable anybody facing failures to kind of get up again and start again over and over again.
Yeah, I fully agree. The thing is that first, if one person is admitting about a failure, it's already an appreciation, because basically there's this honesty and this ability to understand that I failed, which is not
That's awareness.
So well done. Second, it depends also, what kind of failures, because sometimes when you're part of a project, the project is failing for many reasons, many different reasons. This something could be given by your lack of expertise or experience, but I think everybody's failing. So I think the learning curve is here admitting, okay, I did fail in that case because that was the situation or whatever reason was, to start to get aware of this and also to admit. Sometimes we still have, in certain situations within the organization, maybe a project was like blocking somewhere, or we had some problems, and then everybody say, no, it's not my fault, it's his fault. And so, it's like everybody raised the hand, which is not the case, because you can learn out of that. And that's exactly, I like to hear that. It's also a leadership skill to facilitate this connection, because people are just immediately scared that, oh my God, what will happen to me? Because we've grown like that. We have been educated like that. In the past, in an interview, you were just underlining your successes. You would never talk about your failure. So it's a complete change in paradigm, and it's a training for everyone to facilitate this and also to get aware of that.
Yeah, I agree. In the past, in the interviews, maybe they were talking about a failure, but it was always somebody else's fault.
Exactly. Always filtered.
Exactly. There was always somebody bad that made the things not happen. While if you find a person that takes the accountability and the responsibility of the failure, maybe they were just a little piece of the picture. But if they are able to tell you, yes, we did this and that, and I was part of the failure, well, it's a great skill. You have an open book, first of all, and honestly is the is the first skill that I'm looking in a person, and then you will know that you can count on that person. Whatever they will do, you will count on them. The expertise is something that they can gather in the company. Once they are on board, we can teach them whatever he needs to be taught. But the behavior and the characteristic of the person is not something that you change so easily. So we give a lot of importance when we hire more to the attitude of the person rather than their experiences or what they know.
Yeah, also because I think in every failure you actually learn things. Maybe those things that you've learned might be key to deliver the project that you have to deliver into the company or to fill out that role. Again, if you are looking for someone who has entrepreneurial experience and entrepreneurial skill sets and comes and tells you that the startup has failed, but also is able to tell you why it's failed, what they learned, that is a massive let's say good thing that can bring to the table into your projects, because there is a learning there, and that learning is maybe much more important than other things that you can learn on the book, let's say.
Exactly.
Right, so I think we are getting to the end of this chat. I would keep chatting with you all day, but obviously we can't. The very last thing, I always close these talks with a sentence, an advice, a case study, something you want to leave as a personal advice to those who listen to us today. Who wants to start?
I can go. I've got something in mind actually, and I'd like to refer back again to this panel I've been to a couple of weeks ago, and this amazing entrepreneur was really talking about, taking risks and needing to take risks to actually survive in this constant change. And one of the sentences he said was actually, the delay is the only risk. So if you actually plan everything to, for it to try and control as much as you can to get to the objective you want, that might really delay the actual rollout of anything. So done is better than perfect. So that's my sentence. The delay is the only risk.
I would say
as a woman
as well.
Sorry. I was saying as a woman, we need to learn that because we are very perfectionist. Sorry, Chiara.
I would say talk a lot to people. People need to talk, to express themselves, and you will find out the things that you didn't know before. But don't put filters between you and your organization. Be open, be honest. That it brings much more values than being a perfect stereotype of a business person. That doesn't bring much far. Nowadays, you must bring your person into the game, your single person into the company to help the company and get the most of your working day also.
Alicia?
No, I do agree with you both. I think that this freedom of failing is the key thing. If we really give people space to flourish their talents and to abandon boundaries that in many big companies they are present, and just try to eliminate these biases somehow, we can really bring the power to people, and they later on in collaborative, co-creative way, they can do fantastic, innovative things.
Thank you.
From
Sabrina.
my side, a toast to all that organizations that are still not there. And I would like to connect to what you were saying. We should train and test and check new methodologies also in order to get there. And because that's the future. So do not give up. And if you're not sure, just train yourself and test and try this new way of working and thinking. This could help.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone. My suggestion is actually to look at the new generations and the way they, let's say, approach us as also learning point. I think we also have something to learn from the younger generations and the way they're approaching the work today. So I think let's look at them not as an enemy. Like sometimes I hear people say, the youngest now, they don't want to work or things like that. No, I think they have a great potential, and we also have things like we can learn from them, and they are the future, so we need to invest on them.
Yeah.
Cool. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Annie and Plenitude, to be here today. Thank you, Sabrina and Carlotta. Your contributions have been extremely valuable. You are all amazing women. Hope to see you all. No, actually, I will see you all at the event next week, apart from Carlotta, who I will actually catch up with in London soon, I'm sure. So thank you for all that listen to us and will listen to us as usual. Any feedback, any question, any request of connection, you can let us know and we will connect you with our speakers. Have a fantastic rest of the day and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye. Bye.
In Italia le imprese guidate da donne, giusto per dare qualche dato, rappresentano il 22% del totale.
Fare impresa è funzionale alla tua vocazione e alla tua missione. Crei un'impresa o usi la tua impresa per risolvere il problema che tu hai a cuore.
Credo che arrivi un momento in cui ti scatta quella scintilla, no? Quel desiderio di mettere in gioco tutto te stesso e scoprire anche delle cose che magari non pensavi di saper fare.
Sono stata aiutata a cambiare la visuale da cosa volessi fare a chi volessi essere come persona, come manager, quindi anche come volessi interpretare il ruolo, che stile di leadership volessi adottare.
E soprattutto alle prossime generazioni, la generazione Z e la generazione Alfa, che mettono al loro centro questa storia di impatto e anche purpose.
Non è che domani dobbiamo svegliarci tutti imprenditori, tutti freelance, però domani dobbiamo svegliarci tutti felici. Più siamo felici, più siamo produttivi. Più siamo produttivi, meglio lavoriamo, più siamo apprezzati e quindi più riusciremo a essere felici.